Hey, Tribute Band Central, welcome to the show. We have another installment of my interview series, and we're joined by Chayse Pannell. He is, I'd call him a friend of mine because I've met him so many times and we've talked before. So, Chayse, welcome to the channel. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. It's good to see you, my friend. Um, hey, how many shows have you been to Chi-Town shows?
Five so far.
Five? Okay, I think we can call you a super friend now, maybe. And
Well,
you need a hat or something for free at the next show. I don't know.
I will get to work on that, I promise, because I love to see you guys. And so basically, let me just kind of go through some of your background a little bit. So you are an original musician,
Hmm.
you are a music educator,
Yeah.
and you are a member of, I'll say, one of my favorite tribute bands so that I don't
Mm,
upset any of my other
man,
friends.
we were
But
so close to getting the good tagline.
it I was a huge Chicago fan, and I will say this, you are one of the groups that really made me want to create the channel. And
Really?
I say that because I just when you walk out of a tribute band concert, you feel so good and all those memories. And I've seen the original band upwards of probably 40 times.
Yeah.
So, it just and really I can't get that experience back even if I tried to go to a regular concert today.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to see you guys. So,
Well, that's awesome. We try and bring that back, and I think a lot of tribute bands do a great job of bringing a giant band experience to a smaller stage, and it's really a lot more accessible. It feels like everybody's sitting in the orchestra section. You know what I mean? And we try and do that as best we can because our audience is quite active. They like to dance, they like to move, and they definitely like to sing around. And if you've been to one of our shows, you know that I am active as well. I like to run around in the audience and hang out with people.
absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I love that
Yeah,
you go out into the crowd
yeah.
and yeah, that it 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 really it just gives you a feeling you don't get any other way. So
Sure,
cool.
sure.
Well, let's talk. I know from your website you started playing in music very early. What's your background? Fill us in on how you became musical and your journey.
Sure. Well, in order to tell you that, I got to tell you about kind of my life with a bleeding disorder. I have a bleeding disorder called hemophilia, and it's a severe bleeding disorder, which means that if I get cut, it just doesn't stop. And I was born in 95, and at that time, they didn't really have anything except blood transfusions until I got a little bit older and they had something that worked a little bit better. And the real reason that affected me so much is because I couldn't do really anything that my younger brother, who's perfectly normal, could do. Is a football star, baseball, basketball, everything. Did that, and I was just sitting there behind the fence, like, okay, go brother, yeah, go Cohen. But I found a real avenue whenever I started to do music. My mom is a great musician. Never been touring or anything like that, but she's been a hobbyist musician, and she sings gospel music with her mom and her sister, and they are wonderful with beautiful harmonies and things like that. So I grew up listening to that and learning from them too. So she taught me how to play a little bit of piano, and how to sing and harmonize, and that was a big thing for me. I remember hearing the song uh, "Foreplay Long Time" by Boston when I was a little kid, and thinking those harmonies are not real; those are too perfect to be real. And my mom was like, "No, this is exactly the real thing." I was like 11 or 12 years old, and she taught me how to sing those exact harmonies. And I remember hearing that Styx song's Renegade. Oh, mama, I'm in fear.
Yeah.
Great song. And hope you don't get flagged for that. No copyright.
We're good. Don't worry.
Just kidding. But she taught me how to do that kind of stuff. So that's how I really got into music. It really fed my ambition. It kind of narrowed my pathway down to be that that kind of lifestyle. And then as soon as I got addicted to it, and I just started performing at the age of 13. I started to join, like, there were some local lawyers that had a band. Okay, I'll go play with them this weekend. Oh, there's a band that I know that's playing here. Oh, my old instructor has a band. He's asked me to fill in for this. So I would play piano in some gigs, drums in some gigs, guitar in some gigs, but guitar was my real love, and singing, of course. So that was my early life.
Outstanding, outstanding. And no, I obviously you want everyone to be healthy, but if that's the part of your life that got you going down this road,
Yeah.
then you used what could be a negative thing and turned it into a very positive thing.
Yeah. And I've done that throughout my entire life. I think it's if I wasn't a hemophiliac, a free bleeder, I would be, I don't know, probably breaking all kinds of bones. I have no idea. Probably too much of a risk taker. So I think that it's really more of a blessing than anything because it led me to my niche path that I really, really love today. And here we are.
Cool, cool. So tell me about some of your original music. I know um, you've got a website, and I know you perform on that sometimes. And I look through some of your acoustic guitar and electric
Mhm.
guitar and playing, and I really enjoyed it. And we'll certainly put some links in the comments for our listeners.
Sure.
But yeah, let's learn what's going on with the original music right now.
So, Chi-Town has taken up so much of my time that I fill my musical journey with that majority of the time. We're doing like 75, 85 shows a year at this point. And it's very busy work and I love every moment of it. But when I do my personal music, I've been writing music since I was 12 or 13 or so. And that's when me and my friend Kevin, so he lived right across the street from me, and we would write music together. We were recording stuff on our digital audio workstation, and we've written probably 65 songs together, full top to bottom, and they're really great. However, when I go back and listen to them now, I'm like, man, that we were really products of our time. And in the 2005, 2010, emo rock was a big thing, so a lot of it sounds like that. So I'm suppressing that to keep it down into the I think one day we'll release it under a pseudonym, but that's a lot of music that we haven't done. But in the last 5 or 7 years, I've been doing a lot of folk style music and a lot of kind of rock, hard rock music. My slogan when we come up with our music for my current band that does original music is we want to make classic rock hits today. Stuff that feels like it should have been made in the 70s or something like
Mhm.
that, and making it really instant classics for today. That band's called Factor 8. It goes back to my hemophilia. It's the medicine that I'm missing in my body, the
Oh,
protein that does that. Yeah. Uh,
interesting.
I talk a lot about that in my life because I'm an advocate for hemophilia. I travel across the country working to try and make sure people have the medicine that they need.
Well, great. And we'll definitely put some links in the comments. And
Sure.
if there's any way that my listeners can help support those efforts,
Thanks.
we'd love to. I'll certainly be plugging it, and I'll help you out myself because
Thanks, man.
you're doing good work.
Trying
Um,
to.
so that's
But
great.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about tribute bands. Um, have you been in any others before Chi-Town?
Well, here's the thing. I have not. This was my first experience doing any kind of tribute. I've done a lot of cover bands, of course, where we'll play a mix of classic rock and things like that. And that's what I've been doing a majority of my life. And then occasionally sprinkling in some my original music, and people are already sitting there, so they have to listen to it. You know? Playing around, especially Atlanta and maybe the surrounding states here, that's what we go to do. We play the classic rock songs and we do that. But I was asked at the same time I was asked to be in Chi-Town. Someone asked me, "Hey, will you be the I can't remember his name right now. Fleetwood. It was a Fleetwood Mac tribute that they were trying to start that was going to focus on specifically Stevie Nicks' career after and the Stevie Nicks songs of. So it was mainly a Stevie Nicks cover band, and
Mhm.
I got asked to do that one and the Chi-Town one at the same time, and I had to make a hard decision.
Ooh.
And I was like, I don't know, Chi-Town seems like, well, first of all, they are going. That was a fast moving train. I feel like I got on the train and yanked towards the go because they are gigging, gigging, gigging. That really appealed to me a lot too. I wanted to experience what the road was like with these guys. And they're, you know, these guys, they have been doing this for about three of my lifetimes. So it's pretty incredible. I mean, I'm 30. The average age, I think, of Chi-Town is 68 or something like that. And those guys have been playing on Broadway with mega stars around the world since they were, 20 years old, which is incredible. Really incredible. But
Well,
no, I
and
haven't been in any. However, the Third Stream Big Band, have you heard of those guys before?
I have not. I have
They're
not.
local here. I don't know how long they've been around, but Jim Weil, who sometimes subs trombone for us,
Okay.
He is a wonderful player, and he has a great big band that does all kinds of big band stuff. So they have like a Frank Sinatra tribute, they have a Motown tribute, and things like that. I'll put you in contact with them if you want to know, because great band.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I performed with them several times. That's an awesome tribute. And actually, you interviewed. I was looking through some of your interviews and listening. Um, Allie from Almost Taylor. You interviewed
Yes,
her.
yes.
I actually did musical theater with her in Carrollton. Me and my wife
Wow.
knew her well. Yeah. And then we saw her poster, I think, at Mad Life, and we were like, why do we know this person? So we looked her up and like, oh, sure enough, that's one of our friends from high school, you know?
Outstanding.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really like about tribute bands. There is a lot of interaction.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Almost everyone who performs in one either has some connections to another one, or they came up from one
Yeah.
to the other,
Hmm.
or some of them are in more than one
Yeah.
tribute band. Which to me, especially, I've got a good friend who's a vocalist that I have interviewed, Doug Easterly, and he's in
Hmm.
like Leonard Skinner, Hall and Oates, and the Reflex, which is Duran Duran, and he changes his voice. It's very
Wow.
interesting, and I got to say, your vocals really hit very well for Chicago, having seen them.
Wow.
And really, in the history of Chicago, those lead vocals move around
Oh, yeah.
a lot, and
Hmm.
you're able to cover those. So I do have one question when you kind of jumped into Chicago. Number one, were you how big a fan were you of Chicago, and had you seen them before? And then number two, how long did it take you to learn the music? Because
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
think that's a tough one.
Those are great questions. I don't get asked that a lot, and I appreciate that because you're a audiophile, and I appreciate that. So, anyone that knows the music of Chicago knows it's incredibly difficult, full of
Yes.
key changes, full of time changes, full of odd signatures, and massive, massive harmonies that are just being put throughout the song in random spots. Especially when David Foster came on the field too. But with my job being the Peter Cetera of the show,
Mhm.
it is the hardest job I've ever had, period. Hands down. And that's because, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm a baritone, true at heart.
Ah,
And when I
yes.
sing those, I mean, he's almost a soprano in a lot of those parts, at least a very, very high tenor. One of the greatest voices of all time, and wrote some incredibly difficult parts. So when I first was offered this position, I was actually playing at the rooftop of the Strand. I used to be their piano guy. I played there a couple times a week, and I
Wow.
would do 4 hour increments there. One time, Chi-Town was playing that show. They came up after the show and listened to my little gig there, and they said their singer was trying to retire, and they wanted me to come and audition for the band. And I was like, I love Chicago. And they were like, sure you do. I mean, you're a good singer, but like, where do you know Chicago? And I was like, I was raised right. I was raised correctly on good music, you know? My parents were giant fans of especially the 80s musical scene. That's their era where they loved. And I remember falling in love with harmonies. Like, that's my favorite thing. If you ever listen to any of my personal music, it is and completely dense with harmonies just because of that reason. But I remember thinking, okay, this is going to be a difficult job. This is going to be hard. And that kind of appealed to me, really. So I went in there, and I knew a lot of the songs really, really well. There were a few deep cuts that I wasn't completely familiar with, like maybe Question 67, 68, and
Okay.
stuff like that. And that's the hardest song I have to sing, constantly high C's in there, which is ridiculous. I never thought I could do that in my life, but here we are. And I remember going to the audition at one of the guys' houses. The band was there, the horn, wah, right in your face, unbelievable. And the adrenaline just hits, and I'm hitting these notes, and I realized the next day after I finished with that, I was like, oh, I can't talk now because I did that. Yeah, and I was like, oh no, am I going to be able to take this job? But over time, I've learned to use those in a different way. I've learned to open up my throat in a different way to sing and hit those proper notes, and maybe sing a little bit more of the Peter Cetera style, how he uses his vowel sounds. But it's a science, figuring out that stuff. It really is a science. And being a vocal teacher, I have to teach people how to use their voice a lot. So I had to teach myself in that way too. But like I said, it's the hardest job I've ever had. But I already loved the music, so it really was just a matter of listening to it a lot to get good at it. And that's no problem for me.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Hmm.
Well, I would call you guys are definitely more than a regional band, because you've gone. all the way up to New York, up
Yeah.
and down the coast. I don't, do you guys have you done any gigs out to the West Coast yet? Or are you pretty much East Coast kind of range?
No, we've done a few, especially before I was in the band. They were doing some stuff, I think, in California and a couple spots too. I don't quote me on that, but I don't know. I wasn't in the band at that time. That was before me. So,
No problem. No problem.
but what we do have coming up is we're playing Colorado Springs. We're doing a tour of we're starting in Colorado Springs and going north up there, almost into Arizona and stuff like that. So we are going down there. The Boot Barn here in Gainesville, they have several locations over across the west. So we're doing that in a couple other
Oh,
spots around there too. But yeah, we spend a lot of our time on the road. So we go to Florida all the way up to New York City. We've got some talks about going to Canada, which I'm really excited about, 'cause I've never been there.
cool, cool.
Mhm.
And then you'll be an international band.
Exactly. Just so we can get that one stamp. That's what. And
That's
then never
right.
again. I'm kidding.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I will say I am definitely, I keep an eye on your site.
Mhm.
And you know that Mad Life I consider to be like my home venue. And pretty
Yeah.
much anytime you're there, I try to go.
Yeah.
And but if there's and for my listeners, if you look down below in the comments, we will have a link to their upcoming shows.
Yeah.
And that would, if you know, it'd be great to catch you guys on that tour because that will be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
And is there any other anything else you'd like to plug at this point? Anything coming up?
Well, I'm looking at the schedule here actually, and we're playing Mad Life. We're doing 2 dates at Mad Life on November 8th and 9th. So that'll be fun. And I love Mad Life too because it's 5 minutes from my house. I could literally walk there. It's great.
Very nice.
And I love that venue too. Wonderful people that show up there. Hurricane is always there if you know who Hurricane Wilson is.
Yep.
And it's a really great venue, full of tightly good sound there too. The only problem is we are extremely loud, and and people in the front row need to be warned that their hair will fall backwards if they don't, bring some earplugs or something like that. But the next few shows we have going on that I would really love to see some people at is we are playing the Strand in Marietta. That is my home base where I started. When I moved from Carrollton, Georgia, I got my first gig playing the piano bar, and that's where Chi-Town actually found me. So that place has a special place in my heart.
Great.
That's on the 29th of this month, August 29th. We're
Okay.
playing there,
Cool.
and that's going to be a great show. Um, and then the Boot Barn on September 12th. Those are going to be some big ones that we have local. The rest are either going to be out of state or, you know, pretty good distance away.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, you know, when I started the channel,
Hmm.
I decided that I was going to ask my guests one question that was the same on all my interviews.
Hmm.
And so I will ask you, so do you attend other tribute bands in your off time? Now, I'll preface that I don't think you have a lot of off time because you are very, very busy. For my
Yeah,
listeners, we've been trying to get this interview done
I
for
know.
6 weeks probably. And
Yeah.
don't apologize for that. I am so glad you're busy. I
Yeah.
really, really am. So, but do you have any time to go see other music?
Well, these days it's difficult to get out and support other acts, but I know a lot of the guys in the other bands, and in fact, Doug Ballard's a good friend of ours. He's one of the players in Departure, the
Yeah.
Journey tribute band, and they're phenomenal. They are actually the first tribute band I ever saw, and this was back in like 20, I don't know, 13 or 14. And I had just graduated high school and I was doing an opening thing in the Carrollton Amphitheater where I'm from. And I didn't know this, but I was opening up for them. So that was the first band that I ever like opened up with my band. So I met all those guys and sang with them on stage. It was a great time. But that's how long they've been doing it. They've been doing this a long time. Their lead singer sounds just like Steve Perry. I mean, they are absolute killers of this world. So anytime I get to go see them, I always do. We recently saw a phenomenal um, Everly Brothers and Simon and Garfunkel's tribute. They're called the Everly Set, and if you've never met those guys, you need to get in. They're the best, incredible. Their show's
Oh,
full of comedy, personal stories, and just incredible perfection of the songs. There, we went there because we're big Simon and Garfunkel fans, but everything they did was perfect. I love their show so much, and we saw those guys in New York not too long ago. playing the same venue as us the day before, crossing paths like we always do with a bunch of these folks. I saw Jump Van Halen guys over at the Strand. Those guys talk about energy. That's an energetic show right there.
Yeah.
Energetic show. It's incredible. And then, of course, there's the big ones, Rumors, phenomenal band, and people like that. And we've seen all these folks live. The Fab Four. A big Beatles fan, if you
Oh,
can't tell.
yes.
But we saw the Fab Four. We saw a couple other Beatles tribute bands, and they're all just so much fun to go see, especially when you know every single song like that. But that's what happens when people come to our shows too. People know Chicago music. They love our music. Well, not ours. I didn't write any of it, but we perform it and try as close to the original stuff as I think we possibly can. And the thing that we do different is we try and make it the most entertaining thing you've been to all year. We try and get into the audience. We try and let you sing into the microphone. We do the versions of the shows that they've been doing live forever. We try and make it feel like you're at a personal live show. But that's the brilliant thing about all tribute bands. All the ones that I mentioned that I've been to, the ones that we try and replicate, it's really bringing the best of all these experiences from the bands that we've learned from and fell in love with, 50 years ago, some of these. Chicago's been touring for 58 years, I believe.
Yes.
Um, and trying to bring that to a personal level. And I think that's what tribute bands do best.
I would agree. And I would wholeheartedly say you're one of the top ones, and you certainly do that for me. I walk out of every show just on top of the world. You make me feel like I'm 18 years old again, and I'm just walking out of the arena for the Chicago 16 tour, which is
Yeah.
where I started listening to Chicago. So,
Lucky you. And you got to hear it right when it came out, too, when the world was buzzing about it. I can't imagine what that's like, man. I'm really, truly jealous of people like you that got to grow up in the greatest generation of music ever to come out. So, lucky
well,
you.
thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you, number one, for joining the channel today and for sharing some of your insights. For my listeners, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you have any questions for me, which you probably don't, but if you have some questions for Chase, put them in the comments. I'll make sure we get some answers to that.
Yeah.
Again, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to see you. And I look forward to hearing you sing many, many more times.
Thank you, Harlan. Everybody, like and subscribe to this man. This is incredible content. Thank you so much, Harlan. I love
All right. Take care. Tribute Band Central.
it.